natural.
Okay, welcome everybody to today's webinar. We have Barry Lebow, a real estate expert. I'll tell you more about Barry in a moment. I just wanted to say this is part of a webinar series called Should I Stay or Should I Go? And it's a series designed to help seniors and their families make important housing decisions when life gets harder, what to do and what not to do. And today's webinar is called Overwhelm, Transitions, and Knowing When to Get Help. When staying in your home becomes harder. And I have none other than the very distinguished Barry Lebo with us today. Let me tell you a bit about Barry because I could go on. Um, Barry is a Toronto-based Remax real estate agent and a recognized authority in senior-focused real estate. He's the creator of the Seniors Real Estate Advisor designation, a special program offered to professionals who demonstrate a commitment to working with older homeowners with dignity. Barry not only works extensively with retirees and their families, he educates and mentors other realtors on how to navigate sensitive situations involving aging in place, downsizing, cluttered or overwhelmed homes, and emotionally complex transitions. His approach emphasizes trust, calm problem solving, and respect at every stage of the process. But I will also say that Barry works not only with seniors and realtors to learn how to deal with seniors, but in other areas as an expert witness and stigma. The list goes on. He's a well-known educator, and it's a privilege to have Barry with us today. So, Barry, thanks very much for joining us. You tell us, if you would, to start. Can you tell us about a bit about your real estate career? How did it start, and how did you get into all these different areas, and especially the seniors, dealing with
Well,
seniors?
well, it's an interesting point. I started real estate in 1968. I was at a Mike Ferry retreat once, and hundreds of people in the room. And Mike Ferry said, "Who got into real estate not to make money?" And one hand in the whole place went up. Mine. He thought I was having fun with him. Mike got off the stage, comes running up to me with the microphone, shoves it in my mouth, in my face, and says, "You didn't get into real estate to make money?" I go, "Not, that wasn't my primary reason. No." He said, "Why did you get in?" I go, "Because I failed at everything else." Real estate was, I was 21 years old. I was a grade 10 dropout. I had very little, I was a salesman, but I didn't have a lot of skills. I had nothing to fall back on. And I got into real estate. And real estate to me, my respect for this industry is humongous because at 24, I remember I got thrown out of grade 10. I didn't, wasn't even asked to leave. I was pushed to leave. I was a terrible discipline problem because all I wanted to do was go out and sell things. I didn't want to be in school. I wanted to be a salesman. And I knew at 12 years old I wanted to be a salesman. And leaving that alone, at 24, a friend of mine who was president of the Toronto Real Estate Board at the time, much older than me, he pushed me to come to university with him to take the FRI designation at York University. I said they'll never accept me. I never finished high school. And lo and behold, I got in as a mature student. And from real estate, I would have been a bum otherwise. I did 14 years I got fascinated. I spent 14 years in university. I don't even know, I couldn't even number the amount of courses and education I got because real estate did this for me. It was a
What's
door.
FRI, Barry? FRI?
Fellow of the Real Estate Institute, which
Okay.
is the Real Estate Institute of Canada. It was a pretty intense course. It was also the first time I took a legal course. My Marvin Katzman was my lecturer. He became a judge, And I found out I got like a 95 on the legal. I realized this was in years later, by the way, as an aside, when I was 35, Osgood Hall decided that they would take mature people and let you get into Osgood if you took a 1 year to be a lawyer, if you took a 1 year course as a prerequisite. And I passed it and I was accepted. But to me, lawyers are people you hire. I don't want to be one. I took it to see if I could get in. I just wanted to see the challenge. And I got fascinated by the law. And it really, the best course I ever took for real estate and my life was becoming an arbitrator mediator through my courses at University of Toronto. I learned to negotiate. I learned how to mediate. I learned how to counter. David, I say this with absolute truth. I've been 58 years in real estate. I have never had a residential deal that didn't close, ever. And with deals that were not closing, but they closed because of the mediation, arbitration. You sit down with people, you rationalize. There's so much, and yes, people don't have money, but guess what? There's always a way to close a deal. Always.
Mm.
So that helped me tremendously. And then with seniors, I fell into it. I realized that in my 50s, I was aging, but I looked at all my friends that were aging and all the people around me, and I realized there's a gold mine here. And I went back to Walt Disney. And you're going to go, what? Walt Disney? Walt Disney took a look in the early 50s and said, look at all these, look at the demographics. And remember, everything should be a study of demographics. Walt Disney took a look, it was the early 50s, and he said, you got all these soldiers that have come home. Tremendous amount of them wouldn't go back to the farm that they left in Ohio or whatever, and they went to California. California was booming with people. And the Americans had what they call the GI Bill. You came out of the South Pacific, you finished the war, and you went to university, and they paid you money to go to university. So all of a sudden, you've got a group of younger people, war veterans, that are educated. The aero industry was huge in California. Money was pouring in. People were getting married, having two kids, a station wagon, a house that their parents never had such a nice house, and they never had cars in the 1930s. And all of a sudden, there's an affluence, and Walt Disney looked and said, "I'm going to create a piggy bank. Call it Disneyland." Think about it. What was Disneyland? It was a way to suck money out of people's pockets because these people had nothing to spend it on with their families except some crappy little place with a little roller coaster or something. He created a machine, an apparatus to take advantage of the demographic. I was very, very attuned to that. So now I look at the seniors. Who's the largest owner of single family homes in Canada? Baby boomers or their parents, what's left of the parents. By the way, as we speak, I have a client right now. She's 101 years old. That's my record. Um, so the seniors have become a tremendous source, and I enjoy it tremendously. I'm going to caution any agent that's listening to this. There is a caveat to this, and that is I did an experiment, a very expensive experiment, and I knew going in it was going to be difficult. You know the old thing of pushing that boulder up the mountain, and you can never get to the top. I hired an exceptionally good SEO company. These ladies were amazing. I spent $2,000 a month for exactly 12 months. You think I'm crazy? I spent $24,000 on an experiment. And the ladies told me up front, I think you're going to have a major problem because the public doesn't know that there are real estate agents that specialize. They don't know. And therefore, you're about on Google searches, you're on page 20. And they were right because I was trying to figure out how to get the message out there that I am an agent working in this senior field. So I got selfish, and about a year and a half ago, I started a group called the Seniors Real Estate Advisors, which goes from Windsor right now to Victoria. We don't have anybody in the East, but the East has always been a failure, I found, in real estate education. What I've done is, and it's not just me, my assistant Ida, who's very, very tuned in. She's really got into the senior business when she was in her 40s, and her health issues got in the way. But Ida's very attuned to working with seniors. The idea is that I'm selfish. I need other agents to be promoting as I'm promoting in different centers so that we together can get a message out that there are real estate agents that work with seniors. And we brainstorm every 30 days. I bring in speakers. The stuff is sent out, maybe if something's relevant, it goes out in the month and everything. And we have had some really excellent information coming in from other people. I will bring in one of our own people that's a member of the group to speak on how they're doing their business, what's working and what isn't. What's not working is expensive SEO and stuff like this. So their hardest part is getting the business of the seniors. My business comes predominantly through lawyers, but my business has always come through lawyers. For of my 58 years in real estate, it's 57 years I only solicit lawyers, accountants, and trustees. I don't go after the public.
But do you solicit them for like your expert witness
No,
business
I don't
or for
have to. The
seniors?
expert, the expert witness work it's exceeding now my income as a realtor. This year it surpassed. There's so many lawsuits against real estate agents in Canada that it's unbelievable. I've worked in not just Ontario, Saskatchewan. I just finished something in Alberta. I've done British Columbia. So there you can't find experts in my field. There just aren't that many. There's very few of us, and it's a tough grind. It really is. Anybody that makes a living going to court, I just was in court in December in one case in Kitchener, and just 2 weeks ago in Oshawa on another case. And David, the only way I can describe being an expert on the stand and cross examination is that you are the piece of bacon in the frying pan. It is not the most pleasant experience, but after all the years and 600 trials, I'm not phased. But it took a long time to get there. There was a lot of me cold sweating on the stand, believe me.
Well, that's an interesting topic unto itself. Maybe
It is
next
a
month, if
topic
you're
unto
open to it,
itself.
we can get into that. But
Well,
let's
I don't
talk
know how many
about
people find it interesting. So
well, I think there would be interest there because some of the cases you handle, you know, for realtors especially, learning how not to get sued, how to stay out of hot water, that's important. But let's talk about
but
seniors. That's today's
please,
topic,
please,
and
let's
we
get
have
right into
I
seniors.
expect we have both real estate agents and people from the public because this webinar was promoted both to real estate agents who wanted to learn and also to the public who are dealing with these types of challenges. So tell us, what are some of the most common challenges that seniors and their families are facing today when it comes to housing decisions? Should I stay or should I go?
Okay, we have a sheet called "Should We Stay or Should We Go," which is in sales is the old Benjamin Franklin close, where you take out a piece of paper and say to people, "Let's look at the pros on this side, the cons on this side." So we that's called the Benjamin Franklin close. And what we do is we have a sheet, "Should you stay, should you go?" And it's an excellent um, document because I'll give you an example. I'm going to use the name Price. Okay, good ring for any real estate seller, any listing, seller, vendor. I sit with a lady. This absolute true story, and this is how I work it. First of all, you've got to go in as a real estate professional in the seniors without a disease that is common to real estate agents. The disease is called commissionitis. Commissionitis clouds thinking and makes bad decisions for everybody. You can't go in looking to make a deal every time. We, um, ABC, as we know in hardcore sales, is always be closing. No, 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 no. ABC for seniors is always be counseling. Example, I go to a house and I walk in, meet the woman. I say, I'd love to look through your house. Can I see it with buyer's eyes? Just let me go for a little tour and I'll meet you in the kitchen. I sit down with her and I say to her, Mrs. Price, why am I here today? That's my first question. They look at me like I'm crazy. And she says, well, I'm thinking of selling my house. I said, well, let's look at the reasons. I said, how close is your family? Oh, my family lives far. They're up in Keswick. I see you're Keswick. So how long have you been in this house now? Oh, 35 years. We came in when it was almost new. I see. So 35 years. Let me ask you a question. Do you have any friends left on the street? She starts crying. Her best friend died 6 months ago. Last of the friends on the street. She got no friends. The area's gone ethnic. She doesn't know her neighbors anymore. Is your dentist in the area? Is your doctor? Oh no, they've all retired. I have to go miles to go to there. I said, do you drive? Well, I used to. Now I have to use cabs and everything. I said, what about the shopping? She says, oh my goodness, it's all ethnic now. I have so much trouble getting what I need. I said, so let me understand this. Your family doesn't live nearby. You don't have any friends here. You don't have a doctor or dentist nearby. You're not happy with your supermarket or your shopping. I said, what is your decision? You think it's a wise thing to stay here, or do you think it's time to move? In other words, she made a decision, and it's up to me to guide it. But, David, I got a call from a lawyer the other day, and a client. We did a three-way call, and I didn't even hesitate. Within minutes, the first thing I said to the client was, your option is there's only one option. You got to stay in your house. Don't move. Stay in your house. Now, let's look at this from all kinds of different areas. Why would a real estate agent push somebody not to make a real estate move? And the answer is because it's the right answer. Because let me put this to you, I scored points, obviously. It wasn't my intention, but you do score points with the lawyer to be that candid. Number two, I've waited 5 and 6 years for people to come back to me. Seniors, you don't walk in and get the deal right away. You can go see them, and then you have to. They're not ready. They're just not ready. They want to, but they're afraid to pull the trigger. What? Remember, most seniors do not want to move. Every survey does that. LePage did a beautiful survey a few years ago. Newspapers do surveys. It's like 90, 85, 90%. They don't want to move. So what motivates them to move? Health or wealth or a combination thereof. They're either they can't go up and down the stairs, their arthritis is killing them, or whatever, or they're running out of money. And we'll talk about that in your role. So I have to wait for a circumstance. Is circumstance drives most of the action in seniors. I'd say about 40% of my business is even harder than that. It's estate work. They've gone, they've passed. In some cases, there's the state of, not a state. They've got dementia, they're in a home, they've got they've got let's say a power of attorney, or they've got people looking after them. They cannot functionally able to make or do a deal. I've sold property for people as seniors who are alive. I've never met them because of their capacity. So why would I tell someone to stay? Number one, they have no mortgage or such a low mortgage. They can't, it's cheaper. My argument is if your mortgage is less than what the place is for rent, it's already, don't even bother paying it off. Just let it pay off naturally. If your mortgage payments are so low, why bother? I mean, these obsession to pay off your mortgage is sometimes I don't understand it because you got to live somewhere. And if rent is like 3,000 a month for an equivalency and you're only paying 1,500 on a mortgage left, why bother? Why bother? But leaving that alone, you look at why to stay. Maybe the one of the partners, the husband or the wife, I'll do the traditional. The husband or the wife is in decent physical shape, but the other partner, the spouse, isn't. The last years they know that she or he only has 4 or 5 years left, maybe at even less. Let them have the dignity and the comfort of living in their own home towards the end. I'll come back to that, by the way, that scenario. There's other reasons too, but it doesn't pay to, especially now, because real estate prices, as we all know, the market's not as strong as it should be. We're in a downturn. And if they can afford to, I'm advising people to wait it out until market turns around, which is maybe a stupid thing because in the 90s, it took 10 years for prices to come back to where they were 10 years previous. We were in a 10-year trough in the 90s. So who knows what the future will bring? But here's the other thing. If I tell them now to stay, I'm building business. I am building up somebody that's going to work with me in 3 years, maybe 2 years, 4 years. And I keep doing that. And it comes back to me. I rarely don't, but here's what you have to do. For the real estate agents here, every few months, I go in, I find the most recent sales in the area, and I send it to them. Usually there's also a stereotype. It's always the older daughter who seems to have the burden of looking after the parents. Nobody else wants to. I make sure they get every 3 months updates on what's selling in the neighborhood. And by doing that, I make touch with them. I'm giving them information they actually want, not just driving them crazy and phoning, going, David, so have you thought about it? You ready to sell? That's badgering. I don't badger. I don't badger. I give them information, and I have rarely not had the listing eventually come to me. So it's a waiting game, and it's a wonderful feeling to know that in a few years you're going to have more business coming in, and more business and more business, because eventually they're either their health will go or it's something else. And I want to come back to the wealth aspect. The wealth. We all know about the thing of I'm rich in owning a house, but I have no money in the bank. House rich, you know, but poor. We actually had a program. I did a program on that, how to make money from your house. If you don't drive a car anymore, rent the driveway or the garage out. And it's pocket money, but hey, when you're a senior, you're picking up $150 a month cash. If you're going to declare it to CRA, that's your conscience. I'm not telling you yes or no, but let's just say that that can go in your pocket. Also, I helped a neighbor when I was living in my last house. The neighbor across the street came to me and said, "What am I going to do? Taxes are going up. Everything." I said, "Finish your basement." I went to see it. Basement was finished, older but finished. I said, paint the walls, make it more modern. Take the little bathroom, the two-piece, and you're going to have to add, we'll get a plumber in and do a little, and make a three-piece bathroom down there and rent it. She was getting, like, at that time, 1,500 a month. There's a better part to this story. An older gentleman moves in downstairs. A lovely man. I used to see him shoveling snow and everything. And they're together. She's a tenant for about a year. After a year, they got married. I loved it. I loved it. So he ended up moving upstairs and they rented out to somebody else. Anyways, that's just a good story.
A good
What
one.
happens is, though, there's so many scenarios, and here's something that people don't realize. Older people go through divorces like anybody else. Now, I actually had in my appraisal years, I was telling you the other day when we were talking privately, I had a divorce of a man who was 98 years old and his wife was 97. And I got fascinated. Why would a 98-year-old man want to sue his wife for divorce? I mean, how much more is he going to be around? And I went to see him. I didn't want to come right out and ask him. So we had a conversation. Finally, it popped up. I got to squeeze it in. And he said to me, I don't want her to get a dime more than she's entitled to. I don't want her to inherit a thing. I want to settle it now and get it out of the way. And if I can retain some stuff that she wouldn't get, she would get if I died, I don't want her to have any of it. That's the animosity. But that's one case. But leaving it alone, I had a divorced woman call me. She'd gone going through a divorce, senior, mid 60s, if I remember. She had 5 dogs. I think that's probably one of the reasons why her husband left her, but she was obsessed with her dogs. And down in Leslieville in Toronto. And she wanted to stay in the house badly. And I advised her, and she got a reverse mortgage. Used the money plus some savings, paid out her husband. She has no payments, and she's still in the house. And there's a good reason for a reverse mortgage for seniors. Another one is the scenario I told you up front. You've got the man or woman who's caring for their spouse. They don't want to move, but they don't have a lot of money. And the house is pretty well free and clear. They can get a reverse mortgage and stay out the last 4 or 5 years, and they can have some dignity and also have enough money to have a caretaker come in, someone to help look after the spouse, which money they wouldn't have going in. I don't know, David, have you been to seniors residences, correct?
Sure, many times I go there, I play music often there.
Right, but have you been in their rooms?
Well, I mean, just family.
Okay,
in the right.
so you go from a house of 1,300, 1,500, 2,000 square feet, 3,000 square, whatever it is, and now you're in a cell. You're in a room that's maybe 300 square feet, 400 square feet. Of course, the more square footage, the money, 5, 6,000 a month is no big deal in these homes. I mean, really? I mean, it would be smarter in a lot of cases to take out a reverse mortgage, have no payments, and we can do it. We've done a seminar. We've talked about reverse mortgages. But or a line of credit, you can do that as well, and let them stay. And therefore, as a realtor that cares about this, I really care about my people. They're very important. I'm not a volume guy. I do a deal at a time. I work like a dog. I have a rule, a strict rule. I never take more than 3 listings at any given time. I won't. I won't take a fourth listing. They have to go on a waiting list. I will not do it because I can't service them. I'm a service guy. And it's very important that you tell the clients the absolute truth. Staying can be a very practical thing, and we can also retrofit. I have a group. They'll come in. They'll if they have to, there's a wheelchair. We'll widen a couple of doors, make it easier for them. If they we put in grab bar. I've done that many times. Grab bars into the bathroom. We advise people to get a one of the watches. By the way, I sort of like the Apple Watch because if you fall, it automatically it says right away, "Are you okay?" I fell once on the ice, and right away with the Apple Watch, and I forget the exact wording, but it asked me if I'm okay, and I said no, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. If not, they would have called 911 on the spot. So I'm a big believer in being protected, but I know how much we paid for care for my father when he refused to leave his home. And I know what other people are paying for care with the Filipino ladies coming in looking after. You're into a lot of money, a lot of money. And I know for myself, would I go to one of the seniors' residents? I wouldn't be bothered at my age if I eventually went there, if I had space. But I couldn't, I don't think I could live in 300 square feet. I don't think so.
Well, they also have these larger units for, independent living that I've
Yes.
visited family in. So,
Yeah.
they have their own space. There's a bedroom, there's a living room. But Barry, I want to ask you
But that's
about
thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, David.
Yeah.
Very
I
expensive.
I want to ask you about the issue of let's start off with capacity.
Ah,
If you're dealing with a senior, and because I find that as a mortgage broker, sometimes you're dealing with people, and it's like, certain days they can be very lucid, very clear, and other times you sense there's some real confusion there. And then as well, the question of should family get involved? And always, or because if you're dealing with a senior who is, like appears to be fully cognizant of everything, like, no capacity issue, do you need family and to be involved at that point, and why?
I have said to people, I have sold more houses with people that hate me than ever before since I got into the senior business. And that is exactly why. They're with dementia, and not everything is Alzheimer's. There's all kinds of dementia. They can have a perfectly lucid day, and it's like the most perfect thing. And next day, they hate. I'm the bad guy throwing them out of their house. I was invited there by their kids, by the way, because they know mom's leaving the stove on and the house hasn't been cleaned and everything. And you can't rationalize. So, my very first encounter with my first senior with specializing in seniors, I was blessed. The grandson was 2 years out of law school. He was at every meeting. That was really great. I will not, with a minute I think there's a cognizant problem, I immediately say, who is your lawyer? That's my first thing I do. Then I pick up the phone, I call the lawyer. And lawyers and real estate agents don't always get along. There's this problem. And I'll say, I've been asked by the Price family to get involved with their mother. I want to protect her. I want you to make sure that you're involved in every aspect of this. And can we please work together to protect her at all times? I don't want her to sign anything without you reviewing it first so you can advise her. And I've had lawyers say, we don't get this from real estate agents. We don't hear real estate agents like this. They're all pushing for a deal, a deal, a deal. No, I make the lawyer my partner in the process. I've had the biggest problem is greed. The kids. The kids.
Hmm.
By the way, David, this is an aside. I honestly believe a lot of older people have been pushed into getting, they're not dying. Their health is decent. They're probably going to be around another 10, 15, 20 years. The kids are so greedy, they've pushed their parents to go get a reverse mortgage just so they can get some money themselves. I honestly believe that. I've seen it, but I don't know the extent of it. Now, the other thing is, I would not go forward with anybody dementia. By the way, the courts ruled that somebody that has a good day, a lucid day, and then has dementia, if you catch them and they sign a contract on a day they're lucid, it's valid. I found that a little interesting. That was a case about 3, 4 years ago. It's not even an old case. I did find that interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting. Well, I mean, sometimes I see a potential conflict of interest situation as a mortgage broker. Not that long ago, I was speaking with a lady who seemed, no issues at all from a capacity standpoint, but she was very, very concerned about what her son would think if she took out a reverse mortgage. Like, I think most people, who care about their kids would like to try and leave something behind for their kids. Now, we can get into it a little bit further in this webinar, that taking out equity doesn't always mean that you're going to erode the equity in the house and leave nothing for your kids. But she was worried that if she did this, that her son was going to be upset with her, because even if, there's a perception by your kids that you're draining the equity from your
Yeah,
house,
yeah.
and not going to leave them anything. And some people don't want their kids to think or feel that way.
When my dad died, I was angry a little bit because my father was a huge earner, like huge. And the last years weren't good to him financially, and he didn't leave any. So I said to my brother, who's a lawyer, I said to my brother, he had millions of dollars, and we get zero. My brother said something to me. He said, "You got to remember something. It wasn't our money; it was his money. He could have done what he wanted." I figured it all out. I'm spending some money. I'm going to see a plastic surgeon. I'm getting pockets put into my hips, and I'm taking it with me.
Okay. I want to
I'm in a
mention,
different position. My kids have done so well. They really have. I don't have to even think about my kids anymore. I
right.
don't. My kids have told me enjoy life. Different
What
attitude.
I want to mention that if people have questions,
You
feel
can
free to
post them.
type in your questions, if you
Absolutely.
would. Yeah,
Or we'll open it up after and do a question and
yeah, for
answer.
sure. How about the emotional aspects? Can you talk to us more uh,
Ooh,
about that?
I've held a lot of hands, and I what I do is if it's a detached, pardon me, not detached, if it's a single family home, by the way, my gift at the end, I get there, I take a beautiful photo. I got a beautiful photograph for the listing itself, and I have it made into. We used to send it out. Now we can do it internally. I make it look like an oil painting. I get it framed by Canva, and that's a gift. I go give it to people. Start crying. I remember my dad turned 75. He grew up in a slum in Toronto. At Bathurst and Queen was a slum in those days, and I think my grandfather paid. I think it was $2,500 for the house on Manning Avenue, and they lived poor, real poor. And for 75th birthday, I had an artist sketch the house that he grew up in. It was a little narrow row house down in Victorian house, probably built in the 1860s or 70s. And I brought it to Miami with me on the plane with my dad for his birthday because they were living in Miami for 6 months every year. And my aunt's there, his sister, and we unveil it. My dad's eyes bulge out. And he says, "I love this." My aunt takes one look at it and goes, "The house never looked that good," and walks away. And nostalgia. But it's their home. I mean, this is their comfort level. 30 years. I don't know. It's the longest I've ever had anybody in a house. 45, 50 years. I've had people in the house.
Yeah,
Now I'm
and
going to say goodbye. It's hard. I mean, I've
it's
had
hard, and
experience.
their life can people can decline very quickly if they leave, and it's not the right time for them. I want to tell you about a situation I had many years ago. I was still pretty new in the mortgage business, and I knew you, but not well. And if I could do it again, Barry, I would have called you. But here's what happened. I don't remember how I met this lady, and she was living in a house that was in complete state of dis. I mean, it was partway through a renovation. Her services had been cut off. She was living
Wow.
like a homeless person in, like, as if she was a hoarder, not a hoarder, but a homeless person living in her own house, like a squatter, is what I meant to say. Service has been shut off. I don't even think she had heat. Okay. And but she owned this house and had no mortgage on it. And I thought that I was going to be the hero. And I was, because I figure I can get her the mortgage because there's enough equity that we can, get her a mortgage, get her money to complete the construction. And then, either she'll sell it when it's finished, because the last thing you want to do is sell a house that's like halfway complete, right? I mean, a developer or builder comes in, buy a house that's halfway complete. It's they're looking for a deal, right? So I thought I was going to be the hero. Anyway, there must have been some underlying issues and mental health issues. when you see this kind of thing, and I know you deal with hoarders, Barry,
Oh, I love
um,
hoarders. Love
how
hoarders.
do you deal with this? And are there other resources that you would sometimes call in, social services or
Yeah.
whoever?
Ham H. Yep. Yeah. I just sold, listen to this one. This is unbelievable. I just sold a house 2 weeks ago. It closed. I won't say where, but in Toronto. And but not where in Toronto. But I got a call from a friend of this woman. He had gone to high school with her. That's how, and she was 88 years old. She is 88 years old. Not was, is. And her late husband was this guy's best friend, and he's sort of been looking after her. 13 years ago, the husband dies. She gets emotional and walks away and puts a key in the door and leaves the house. For 13 years, she hasn't been back. The house, the roof is caving, falling in. It's in an area where there's $3, $4 million houses, and this has got raccoon central. I think it's the breeding ground for all the raccoons in the area. She's also was an extreme hoarder. The house you can't walk through it. That's what I saw through the windows. She's been living in cheap little motels on the Dundas Strip between the Etobicoke, the Queensway, places like the type of motels where the sheets are turned over every 3 hours. And she's been living like this and going into supermarkets to get like a cheese sandwich or something. I sold the house for over $1 million to a builder because this woman, the city put an order against the house. She had no choice. She had to sell. She's got over $1 million in the bank. She has no children, none, no brothers, no sisters, and a distant niece. I sat down with her. She's a lovely lady. When you talk to her, you never know there's a mental issue. Never. I said to her, "You've got $1 million in the bank. What can I? Can I? I think we should find you an apartment to move into." "Oh no, I like my life. I'm enjoying it. I'm not moving." She's got $1 million now. She's still going to stay in the motels, have a little hot plate, and that's what we're going to spend the last of her years. So what happens is you can't deal rationally when people are irrational. So she's a millionaire living like a pauper. It's unbelievable. And I've learned that, oh, there's another thing. Here's something I learned on the first seniors I ever sold. The man was in the house, he was late 90s, and I got him over $1 million for the house. And I said to him, he had a daughter, she was pretty astute. And I said to him, "What are you going to do with the money now that you've got it?" Because there's financial planners will get you 5, 6%, when the banks will give you 1 or 2%. "Oh, I've been a TD all my life. I'm not moving. I'm staying with TD." I said, "You're only at 1 or 2%." "Oh, well, that's okay. I trust TD." I said, "But they have a department. They have an investment arm too. Have you spoken to the investment people?" "Oh, no, 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 no. That's too risky for me." I learned something, and I've had that happen more over and over and over. If you never invested when you were young, you're not going to invest when you're old. So you can't tell them to do the right thing. Okay? And that always threw me off because they're losing money on the money they get from the house. They could do a lot better. And safety at 5 and 6%. So that's that aspect. But there's so many stories out there. The biggest problem that I have, the number one problem I have, is marketing and getting people to know that I do this service. I got a call from I can't remember. I don't speak French well. From the national TV, the national. It's like the BBC of France. I got a call from Paris last week. Very good English. And she said to me, "We just found out what you do for a living. You deal with seniors." "Yes." "We have nobody I've looked everywhere. No one in France is doing this." I said, "Oh, an opportunity. I should immigrate." And they were fascinated. They're going to air a whole interview with me because they say they need it desperately in France and no one's doing it. because I could sit here and lecture for. I have a seminar about finding your niche in real estate. I believe in niches. My phone for litigation doesn't stop. I don't have to advertise. I don't do any promotion. They find me because you go to a court cases, my name's there. My hoarders, which is a big part of my business now, hoarders. I have a website that every time I do a small ad on Google or Facebook, the ad, we can see on the results, it spikes. In the last 30 days, launching the site, I've had just under 600 hits on the site, which isn't bad. I'm happy with that. That's two hits a day from people looking at hoarders, and we've had repeats because I'm looking at Google Analytics. Seniors, I get a pretty good amount of hits too, but it's hard for people to find it. Hoarders is like nobody. They just go online, look up the word hoarder, and I pop up.
So that's quite amazing. Talk to me about best practices when dealing with seniors, Barry. What are some of the best practices that other
Have a lot of
realtors should keep in mind?
For realtors, you can't do this unless you've got a crew of people to go with it. I have a phenomenal transition manager. She is amazing. She's calm. She speaks to people if she has to, if there is a mental area issue, she'll speak to them like a child, but she's firm like a school teacher when she has to. We will work together. She coordinates. We have to clear out a lot of junk, even from the tidiest people. The place is full of stuff. The older you are, the more stuff you have. That's something I've learned, by the way. I keep downsizing, because I see I don't want my kids to have that burden. Then my transition manager, so that's one. Two, we have cleanout. I have two different cleanout companies I use. I usually get two bids, and if they're within reason, I'll alternate from one job to the other. Then I have a crew of, when I say I have a crew, it's not permanent. A crew I can call on, of renovators. We've ripped out so many. We put so many brand new floors in houses because they've got the broadloom, and we open it up. And take out the broadloom. We see that the dogs have peed right into the hardwood, or the cats. Out comes the hardwood. We laminate. All of a sudden, then you change the baseboards, and that investment has been unbelievable. We've changed lighting. We've done the most I've spent in a house is so far is about $80,000 for my clients. I'm also, and the lowest has been about 2,000, just some little touch ups. I've also brought in arborists because we've got overgrown shrubbery, trees. I had a gorgeous home in the Denlow area in Toronto, which is an exclusive area, and there were so many trees you couldn't see the house, and we cut down all the trees that we legally could cut down. And all of a sudden, the house popped up. It was a gorgeous picture. Before that, all you would have got was pictures of trees. Then we bring in at the end, after it's all cleaned and painted and everything is done, I bring in a super crew, and I mean super, I mean expensive, to scrub to the. I mean, they're using toothbrushes on the baseboards, and it is shiny. I mean, you can't believe how clean these houses are at the end, and the appliances and everything. The appliances look brand new by the time we're ready. And then and only then does it go to markets. And in the meantime, we're holding hands with the senior all the way, all the way. The biggest thing we try to do is get the senior to move out of the house into the next premise. We want the house vacant, or the condo.
Okay,
Condos are the hardest. Condos are a pain in the butt because you got to book the elevators, and there's all kinds of rules, and you can't work late. And I mean, I got a house. The guys can work on Sundays. Who cares? You can't do that in a condo. You can't go up and down the elevators. It's expensive cleaning out a condo.
okay, Barry, you mentioned that you were working with a client who spent, and you helped them to spend $80,000,
Yes,
and not everybody's got $80,000 lying around. Can I take a few minutes now? We've got about 9 minutes left. Would it be okay with you if I took a few minutes to talk about financing options
please
for
do, and then open
the
it up and let
seniors?
people ask
Great.
questions.
Okay. So If somebody needs $80,000, um, short-term loan, either a
Hmm.
line of credit or sometimes private financing will be required. We've been throwing around the term reverse mortgage, and what I realize is that not everybody knows what a reverse mortgage is. So a reverse mortgage is one of a number of different types of financing solutions. A reverse mortgage is simply a mortgage where the borrower does not need to make mortgage payments. It's just that simple. It's usually not a short-term fix. So if somebody just needs $80,000 to do some repairs or improvements before they sell their house so that they can get the maximum dollars for their house, a reverse mortgage is unlikely to be the right solution. Again,
Yeah.
either a traditional line of credit where they can borrow at reasonable rates and pay it back anytime without penalty is more likely the best solution. But with a line of credit from a financial institution, the lender would want to see, your standard documentation, of course, proof of income, credit worthiness, with a reverse mortgage or a private mortgage. Um, the lenders are much more flexible and look more so at the equity. I mean, with a reverse mortgage, the it doesn't matter what your income is, it doesn't matter what your credit's like. It's simply what is your age and what's the value of the property. And there is just one slide I want to put up, and then we'll see if there's additional questions. But
And I'll give you a thing on this too at the end of this before we
okay,
get.
so this is the slide here, and I would encourage people to take a snapshot of this if you like. And basically, it shows something very simple. If you have $1 million house and you borrow $350,000. Now, I should also say that when you take a reverse mortgage, you don't have to take a massive lump sum like that, and take what you need. You can schedule multiple advances. Maybe you need 50 today, and next year you need more. You can also take a small amount of money, 50,000, let's say, and then just 1,000 a month to supplement your income. But in this particular example, I'm showing a $350,000 one-time advance. If we assume the property appreciates by 3% per year, and that is fairly conservative if you look at real estate prices and how they've appreciated over the last 30 years, closer between 5 and 6%. And you assume a mortgage rate of 6.5% and no payments, no payments. So the interest accrues. Over 10 years, you can see that the equity has not changed because the house value has appreciated while the debt is growing. Therefore, you
Yeah.
haven't lost money. Okay, so this is definitely not something where we can guarantee in every case. Barry, you correctly pointed out before that between 1990 and the year 2000, home prices basically went nowhere. So that is also a possibility. But if we look at real estate over the last 30 years, uh, then it's a different story. But I
Yeah.
think
I agree
Barry,
with you. I agree.
right. So you mentioned before, Barry, that I mean, the first question is, what's the right answer for this particular person? Should they stay or should they go? And that relates to other things. There, quality of life, how important. My stepmom took care of my dad for many, many years, and he was gradually declining. He was like 92 years old, and she couldn't take care of him anymore. But there was no one thing that was necessarily going to kill him. They moved him into Baycrest. Within a few days, he was gone. So
Ah,
just sometimes being outside of your environment. So it really is about finding the right solution for each person.
can I jump in
And
on something?
yeah, please do.
My clients have a different bank. It's called the Bank of Barry. I lend a lot of money to my clients to do the work, and they need it. And at extremely favorable. Sometimes I don't charge a dime, not a penny. I speak to the lawyer first. I get their lawyer to draw up the documents. So there's no problem, which they pay for. And it'll be a promissory note that can be registered on title if there's a problem. There's consuls to it. If they don't list with me, if they cancel a listing or anything, it's due. It's payable. And I do this quite often, and it's also part of my service. And I forgot to mention, because of my service, my commission rates are higher than the average. I charge more.
Barry, did my slide go up on the screen when I put it up?
Absolutely perfectly.
You saw it. Okay, good, because
Absolutely
fine.
perfect.
All right.
Perfect. Oh, let's open it up for questions, David.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have questions,
Comments, questions.
comments
You don't like the part of my hair or David's, or at least David still has hair. Okay.
so far?
So far, I was there once. I have all my hair, David. Just that I keep it in a box now. Chat. Who's on chat? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Some complimentary stuff. No one has a question? Then I haven't done my job.
I was on a 2-day course that, what was the name of the course you used to teach for realtors, Barry? It was a 2-day
Accredited
course.
senior agent.
And tell us about now the what's it called? SR, the one you have now.
Seniors with an S,
Yeah.
real estate advisor.
Okay.
SREA. It's on webs. It's SREA.com, or is it SREA.ca? I can't remember. I think it's CA. And it's only by invitation. It's not an educational course. You have to be an active agent in the senior field, and we only allow so many per city or territory. Obviously, like I was born in Fergus, so how many can you have in Fergus? One. You're not going to get 5 people in Fergus for that crossover. So we take one. Peterborough, we may take 2 or 3, like that. Toronto, we may have 5 or 6. So we keep it very limited. We're very restricted on that.
People
Ottawa,
want to get a hold
we've
of
got
you,
some big.
Barry.
Hmm?
If people want to get a hold of you, how do
I'm
they get a
easy. BarryLebo.com. BarryLebo.com.
barrylebo.com?
Lebow. The W. Never forget the W. People misspell my name, and I'm out. There we go. All right. Anybody have a question, or can I finally go to the bathroom? Which one?
Okay, I guess we'll let you. Oh, Jane has a question.
Jane,
More of a
please.
comment than anything else. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry.
Yes, we can
Hear
hear
you
you.
Hear
fine.
me?
Hear you, see you, everything.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And I've been in the business for 26 years, and the white hair is natural. And before that, I worked for lawyers, and I did real estate law for 23 years. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I've had the privilege of learning a lot on the front lines, and everything you have said, I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. Been there, done that. Um, and I have found over the years, like referrals from lawyers. I'm in Oshawa, so like I'm just down the road from you, and I've
Oshawa.
heard you talk.
Oshawa.
No, it's Oshawa. It's Oshawa. It's nothing else. Um, but I've heard you speak over the years, and this is so practical. And everything you're saying and you're doing, like you walk and you do everything. And I've tried to do this, emulate the same, but on a lesser scale because I don't have the bank of chain. But anyways, I just want to say everything you have said is so true. And I have experienced it firsthand. I've witnessed it working for lawyers. I've witnessed it in other real estate transactions in and around the area. And I want to thank you for being such a leader and such a positive role model in the industry. And it just needs to be said. Um, and like when you said you got into the business when in 1968,
Yeah.
I wasn't an adult then, but you wanted to help people and you weren't in it to make money. And that was my motivation when I burned out from law in 1999. And I think the greatest compliment I've ever received is thank you for helping us, because that has always been my motivation. Like, I don't care. I really want everybody to be happy. I want the deal to close. And at the end of the day, I just want everybody to be happy in the day. And I think that's the best referral you'll ever get from anybody. And
Well, you
thank you
sort
for
of,
being front and center of it.
you've ruined my day
Why?
because I have to go outside and I have to put a hat on. And now that my head is so swelled, I'll never get the hat on. Thanks so
Oh,
much.
bless you.
Thank
No,
you
no, bless
so
you. I
very
really thank
much.
it. And then as a practical matter, I have found, to be serious, when I've gone into the seniors situation, because I'm 69 now,
You're a
and then
pup.
like my own personal experience with my late mother, with my aunt, and with other family members, like I've been there, done that. And I think that helps resonate when you can apply your own personal experience. Because I said, I know what you're going through. I know about the dementia. I know about the nursing home. I get it. And I know about cleaning out my family home. I still have my mother's dining room suite and her Royal Albert dishes and silverware and boxes in my basement. I can't give it up yet.
I
Thank God
know,
I'm
but
still in my own
there's no
house.
value. There's
But
no value.
I know what that's like. And I've always tried, like, I get what you're doing. And I understand. And I think when you're dealing with seniors, even when I was still mostly a brunette, when you say, I can understand what you're going through, I'm here to help you, they love you for your honesty and your integrity, because you can't be as senior citizens. They've been around way too long.
Oh,
They don't.
they've got a bullshit monitor.
Oh yeah, all the time. Don't
By
bullshit
the
a
way,
bullshitter. Okay.
by the way, I love what I do for another reason too. I'm not a cynic. Every time I think I've seen it or heard it all,
Yeah.
dealing with the seniors and the hoarders, oh my God, I get in the next day. It's like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. It's like a
Yeah.
completely new, unknown territory. And I'm going, are you kidding? And of course, I phone my girlfriend right away. She's a Sotheby's agent. And I say, you won't believe this. Oh, by the way, that's very interesting. You know where I get a fair amount of business? From luxury real estate agents. They won't go near these properties. They won't bother with them. I was with a luxury agent. I had a hoarder's house that we were cleaning up and we were out somewhere for lunch. I said, come, I want to see what the guys are doing. We went to the house and the luxury agent says, I'm not going in there. I'm
Yeah.
going, why not? It's a $20,000 commission to me. What do I care? And
Yeah.
they were just, oh, I won't do this. I won't do
Yeah.
this.
I have steel-toed work boots in my car. No problem. And I think too, from my life history, because I'm not a city girl, I grew up in the country. Um, Nothing phases you when depending on your background, and you just go, oh, it's not a big deal. Like
Yeah,
the snow today. I'm like, it's not a big deal. I grew up in the country. Don't
I
worry
grew
about
up in
it.
Snowbelt, Arthur, Ontario. So
I grew up
snow.
Thank
outside of Peterborough County. It's okay. People took our schools closed down. We use snowmobiles in the winter to get around, so it's okay. No problem.
thank you, Jane, for your question. Okay, so Natasha's got her hand up, and also
Natasha, I'd love to hear from
there's
you.
also a couple of questions in the comments field. So go ahead, Natasha, first, while Barry's reading
Yeah, I
over
will.
the.
Yes. So, yeah. Hello, everyone again, and thank you, David, for inviting me. That not the first time. That's always pleasure. And Barry, thank you. I actually thinking. I don't remember. Maybe it was a year and a half or 2 years ago when you also presented with the David in a same situation, like meeting like that, and I'm actually thinking I need I feel I need I'm not a real estate. I am a person who is downsizing now, and a lot of things stopping me, and I'm kind of stuck, and I feel that I need an advice. So what is the best time to contact you? Because I'm going to sell the house. I'm cleaning it, and I have an issue with cleaning. It's a terrible, because the whole family lived here for 20 years, and now I'm like fixing after everybody.
I am burned out. I will be back in Toronto on the 13th. I'm going away on this weekend. I'll be back on February 13th.
Okay.
And I'm easy to find. Just go barrylebo.com. You'll go right to my website
Yes.
and it'll have all my information there. But I'm in Mexico. My phone, I have a phone plan for Mexico. You can phone me. I'll be so happy to talk to you because they're putting me on a beach and I'm so bored. You'll be my entertainment for the day. I'd love
Yeah.
to talk to you. Call me after I get settled. I'm leaving on Sunday. If you call me Monday, Tuesday, I'll be happy to talk to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And what is the best time to call you? And
Well, I'm
what
going to
is
be
the
one
time
hour.
difference?
I'm 1 hour behind. So if it's 8 o'clock in Toronto, it'll be 7 o'clock in Mexico. Or is it the other way around? I'm 1 hour. Anytime after, say, 10 o'clock Toronto time or Ontario time. Okay, local time.
You mean what, 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, anytime. I take phone calls every night. Monday to Thursday, I take phone calls till 10 o'clock at night in my business. Friday, I stop at 6. And the weekends, whatever it is, doesn't matter.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
easy to get a hold of.
No, I mean the most convenient time because I don't want also
No,
you
no,
to
no. 10
go.
o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning in Toronto would give me the right time in Mexico. Yeah, that'd be all right. Any 10,
Okay,
11,
thank you. I appreciate you and yeah. Thank you. Thank you
it
very
would
much.
be a pleasure. I'd love to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Natasha.
There was a question about what do you
Yeah,
do? The chat question is,
yeah.
what do you do? A senior moves into a condo and they hate it. Guess what? That's not uncommon. Not uncommon. And you have to explain to them before they go in what the pros and cons. I'm going to say right now, what's the stereotype? Stereotype is mom or dad have a big house, they sell the house, they move to a condo, and everybody lives happily ever after. That is not the right answer in every case. I am putting more seniors into rental housing, and what they're doing is then their money, because remember, in a rental, hey, I can move whenever I want. I don't have to give notice and I can be out of here in 60 days. Here's the other thing about a rental. You're fixed. They can't throw you out as long as you pay your rent and everything else. I have no mortgage. I have no maintenance fees. I don't have to worry about a stupid board of directors. I hate condo board of directors in most cases. They're unbelievable rules. But if I put them in a rental, I had a very wealthy woman. I sold her luxury condo and she moved into a rental. Why? She's got her money working for her at 5 or 6%. She took her tax-free dollars from the sale, put it into investment. She lives in an apartment. She pays rent. Now, where is she? She's in downtown Toronto. She walks to the theaters. Goes to classes in university at her age. She's almost 90. She doesn't need a car anymore. And her life, she says, I can't believe how good my life is now. I have no headaches. Owning a condo is just another form of paying off a mortgage. Why would I want to put somebody into a condo that may be a shoebox to them and they hate every bit of it, or they got a horrible neighbor upstairs clomping around and doing, they're trying out for the national polka contest at 3 o'clock in the morning and they're practicing. I don't want that. If I got a headache as a renter, I move. That's simple. So I'm putting more into rentals now than I am into selling them a condo.
There's also a question which doesn't I don't know if she wants to elaborate. Shauna Dorfman says, "What's a good first step?" So I'm not exactly sure what if
You got to
Shauna's
hire
a
a
real.
I'm not the only person in my field. You got to hire someone who actually cares and works in the senior field. Now, if she's talking a first step to being an agent
I
doing this
don't. I
senior
don't know.
fields,
Maybe she wants to elaborate. What's the question there, Shauna?
Shauna, what is the question?
Oh, she's a realtor. She wrote.
The first thing, there's no more courses anymore in Canada. The only course out there for seniors is the SRES, which is from the States. I had the rights to that for some years. You have to take the SRES course, and that's the only one that's available. My girlfriend just took it a couple of months ago. She said it wasn't bad, and she's taken the ASA, the former ASA course, and what have you. She learned a little bit more. So the SRES, it's given in Canada. Toronto Real Estate Board gives it once in a while. Real Estate Institute of Canada gives it, and I think you can take it online. Parm, what's her last name? My mind blanked. She's an excellent instructor. She teaches it in Toronto, in the Ontario region. Excellent instructor. Parm. Shonda. I can't remember her last name now. My mind's blanked. Senior moment.
All right. Okay, well, we
Thank you.
appreciate everybody for attending. Barry, I can't thank you enough. We will let you go to the bathroom.
Thank you.
And
Which is every hour on the hour. That's the joy of life.
okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining. We'll hopefully can get Barry back for another webinar before too long. Always a pleasure, Barry.
Can we
Very
do, aren't we
grateful.
supposed to do one on sex and the single realtor? Isn't that the one?
Sex and the Single Realtor. We're going to put that on the list as soon
Okay,
as you come
please.
back from your vacation.
Yes.
I hope you have a great vacation, and
Oh,
we'll be in touch. You enjoy yourself. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the day.
thank you, and goodbye to wonderful downtown metropolitan Wasaga Beach.
You got it. Take
You
care,
got it.
everyone. Bye
Thank
for
you,
Thank you.
now.
Have a
everybody.
Take
Thank
beautiful
care.
you.
day. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.